Good morning. This is David Higgins, and I'm about to record another installment for Symbolic Christianity Explained website. And today's episode is 100% spontaneous and unscripted. I'm just feeling it today, so I'm letting it rip. And the issue that I want to raise today is the book called Spiritual Christianity. This book is written by Charles Augustus Tulk, but more properly we might say it was compiled by Charles Augustus Tulk, for the vast majority of it is actual, just straight up quotes from Emanuel Swedenborg. And he was a controversial figure in his day. I'm sure I've mentioned him many times on other videos because he really changed the way I read Swedenborg by pointing out some very important concepts that allow us to apply Swedenborg to Swedenborg's own writing, and he gives us a very specific idea about the difference between spiritual truth and natural truth. And anybody who reads Swedenborg needs to read this book, okay? If you take the time to even just read the preface, okay, the first 38 pages, okay, 38 pages, all right, it's very short, but it's powerful, and it raises some serious questions that will cause you to be inspired to look very much more carefully at what Swedenborg is saying. And I believe that it allows you to grasp certain fundamental concepts that will have a great effect on not only the way you read Swedenborg and the way you read the Bible, but it'll have a great effect on the way you look at reality altogether. Okay, so it's very challenging, okay, because Tulk asks us to question reality itself, which is never comfortable. And it'll sort of separate you from the herd, which for sheepish people is uncomfortable. So he's going to take you out of your comfort zone, but it'll be a place where you'll be challenged to grow rationally. Okay, so I was just gearing up to try to do this big, researched presentation on Tulk and why he's a reliable expositor of Swedenborg. And I had forgotten that Ray Silverman, back in 1995, had done all of that already. And Ray Silverman is actually the guy who introduced me to Tulk. I went to Bernathen as a neophyte Swedenborgian. I'd been reading Swedenborg in total isolation for about 5 years, and then I popped into Bernathen. And Ray Silverman was actually the first minister that I met there, and he raised the question to me about, Jesus' apparent dual consciousness, where, okay, so at certain points in the gospel narrative, Jesus clearly identifies with the divine itself. He says, I and the Father are one, and he performs amazing miracles that only God could perform. And then at other times, he appears entirely human, right? He prays to God as if it's another being. So those questions make us wonder, right? And that's the whole point, really. God wants us to think, right? So anyway, and in Swedenborg, so look, this is Arcana magazine. This isn't the issue that contains Ray's work. Ray's work on Tulk is contained in 4 separate issues. One is a biography of Tulk. The other is a quick rundown of the controversy that Tulk participated in with other readers of Swedenborg of his day, which he carried on an energetic back and forth in some New Church Swedenborgian periodicals at that time, and Tulk was pretty much cast as a heretic from those discussions, and sort of relegated to the dustbin of Swedenborgian academic theology history for a time. There have been people who, were his allies ever since, but I believe it's time to resurrect Tulk's book, Spiritual Christianity, and I'm sort of throwing down the gauntlet to all you people who are studying Swedenborg that if you haven't read this book, you just have a major hole in your understanding of Swedenborg and a major hole in your understanding of the doctrine of the Lord. Now, I think a great place to start is Ray Silverman's work. I have a website, SymbolicChristianityExplained.com, and in the archives section I have posted digital access to those 4 Arcana magazine articles on Tulk by Ray Silverman, and they're very, very well done. Ray's a brilliant scholar and a gifted writer. I think you'll find those articles intriguing and enlightening, and they will inspire you to read Spiritual Christianity. Okay, you got to read this book. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to just say it straight out that if you think you're a Swedenborg scholar and you can't answer the questions that Tulk raises, then you're a lightweight. Okay, you gotta face the music and answer those questions. All right. So if you're a Swedenborg scholar, you call yourself any sort of academic expert on Swedenborg, and you haven't read this book and you haven't addressed the issues, then you got some work to do. Okay, so read Ray's work in Arcana magazine, and then I've actually also digitally posted this book on my website in the same place, and under the archive section you can access this book digitally, or you can contact Kessinger Legacy Reprints and get a copy printed for yourself. This is an excellent company, and they will sell you this book for $25 in the hardback and like $17 in the paperback. And it's got to be in your library if you're a reader Swedenborg, or your library is woefully incomplete. Okay? Brilliant book. You got to read it. All right? Here's another brilliant book which I recently discovered on the Kessinger Legacy Reprints menu. And this one's called Divine Healing by a guy named Clyde W. Broomwell, who I do not have any background on. It was written in Boston in 1907. And it says, Divine Healing, the Origin and Cure of Disease, as taught by the Bible and explained by Emanuel Swedenborg. And this is a very, very interesting book. And, obviously in this time of global pandemic, trying to figure out the spiritual origin of disease, what's more important than that, right? So this book is something to read and ponder, and I think I got this one for maybe $8, and it came actually in like 2 days. It was impressive. So another great book, Divine Healing. I have no idea who Clyde Broomwell is, but I appreciate his work and I recommend it. Okay, so that is my shout out to Tulk. My great thanks to Ray Silverman for his scholarly work on Tulk that you can find on my website. The Arcana magazine is not digitized. That file was actually generated for me by a good friend of mine named Jeff Adams, who is another great scholar of comparative religion who's up in Berkeley right now. And so thank you to Jeff Adams for that. And I hope this video will energize you in your study of Emanuel Swedenborg, and I hope your understanding of Emanuel Swedenborg will continue to evolve. I know mine is constantly evolving. A lot of things that I say and think are half-baked, and I admit it. And I welcome any sort of criticism or analysis of anything that I have to say. Please feel free to just let it rip in my comments section, and I will do my best to address anything, because I am looking to evolve in my rationality as well, and I appreciate any kind of feedback. So, happy hunting, and may you find some goodness and truth to live dynamically in your life. God bless.